Hi. This is Channel 6 by 9 Storyteller on my channel. The best stories that happened in life with people are collected. I wish you a pleasant viewing. Not sure if it's a confession but could do with some opinions. My mother is a lunatic and I want to cut her off. I don't know how to write this. God, my mother is a nightmare. Okay, so I, 33 meters, have had an odd go at life. I wouldn't say I struggle now outside of the ordinary, mainly due to extreme amounts of hard work, financial, and good amounts of therapy. That being said, I don't know how to fix my relationship with my mother. My mother is a poet and a hardcore feminazi. I'm currently raising 3 boys, 9, 7 and 1, and I myself am a blue-collar straight white male. I was ejected from both of my family houses at 16, at which point my grandmother took me in until I was 18. She died when I was 22 and I have earned every single step and penny that I currently have made. Obviously I have had my fair share of traumas, as we all do. Massive car crash as a child resulting in life-altering injuries and a year's stay in hospital, abusive father. Not majorly to 90s standard I would say, but still physically / mentally / emotionally, absent parents, suicide attempts, etc. etc. As I mentioned, therapy has predominantly been taken up talking about my father and childhood traumas, etc. However, as I'm getting older, it's becoming more and more evident to me that my father was clearly suffering with major PTSD. He was driving the car, and he had worked tirelessly to better himself through therapy. My mother, on the other hand, is just getting worse and worse. From getting my driver's license, I have been used as a personal taxi / assistant for my mother and sisters, be it doctor's appointments / shopping, or even just dropping off and picking up from nights out. I was there to help and I never asked anything in return. So my first child had an unusual entrance in the world, with me getting a girl pregnant the first time we slept in together. I'm a dutiful man, so I tried my best to stand by her. We married and went on to have another child. However, the relationship was a mess. Trust issues were the main reason, but there was also a pretty gruesome miscarriage which happened between my 2 children, twin, that with me working 80+ hour weeks to provide the life my ex expected, I was in a bad way, which led to me drinking a lot and eventually attempting suicide. I tried to turn to my mother at this point, but was told that my feelings didn't matter and I had to put them to one side, be a man and be there for my ex. Fast forward 2 years, my ex and I break up, cue all the usual drama of split parenting again. I attempt to turn to my parents. Now my grandfather on my dad's side is in a bad way and has been for many years, so my dad is a full-time carer and has 2 further kids from his second marriage, plus working full-time. I completely get why he doesn't have a great deal of time, but he calls regularly and keeps in contact. My mother? Radio silence. She has all the time in the world for my 2 full sisters, 30 + 27. And their children, yet she does tala absolute bare minimum for me. She always has and always will, still to this day. Now back to why I mentioned suicide and my mother being a poet. Over my life I have attempted 3 exits, something which I have great shame in personally, and although I'm happy to share to help friends when they have been low, I'd rather not it be public knowledge. My mother wrote a poem about me and my suicide attempts where she basically said she did everything that she didn't do and went into great detail about my life and my attempts. She then went on to perform this poem 5 or 6 times in front of many people, including people I know. A friend of mine told me about this amazing poem my ma'am had written and sent me a video of her performing said piece to a standing ovation. Oh, did I forget to say that not once did she think to ask permission to share my story? Needless to say, I had a go at my mother and told her to stop performing that piece, or I would be sharing posts to all of her groups explaining that whilst it was a well-written poem and I appreciated what she was trying to do, I didn't want this to be out in the public. My mother refused to stop performing it, so I cut ties for a while. All of this happened before my divorce. At this point my ex decided to go to a poetry group with my mother where she herself started writing inflammatory and just downright incorrect poetry about how I'm a gaslighter and how she was going to end us and take me for everything. Not once did my mother mention this to me. Fast forward to the divorce, all that happens and it's whatever. I've got a decent mental fortitude and I can handle myself. I have my children 50-50 now, so that's as good as I can ask for. Following the divorce, my mother decides that this is the perfect time to get back in. She knows I'm not a petty person and would never refuse my children a relationship with their grandmother because they deserve that. So she starts to help with rules such as I have to drop the kids at her house and there's a time limit on how long I can stay. To be honest, it's always awkward, so I don't want to stay long anyway. Time goes on and it all begins to settle down until about 3 weeks ago. A friend tells me she has performed this poem again, and now with even greater detail, including the miscarriage and details about my divorce. I'm anxious to see people I know. I am going to talk all of this through with my therapist, as all of that has been focused on my father / the crash / miscarriage and divorce. Oh, and to add on top of all of that, the constant poems about the patriarchy and how all men are the issue, sending me poems to proofread, knowing full well that I am a straight man raising 3 boys, and I've told her that I don't feel comfortable. I'm stuck with what to do right now. I think I just needed a rant.